The rain had just stopped as the red double-decker bus pulled away from the stop on Sydenham Hill. Leaving behind a young woman in her early 20s, she pulled her hoodie low over her curls, earbuds blasting indie rock into her ears. Asterisk, have you ever felt the magnetic pull of rebellion? That fierce urge to carve your own path, even if it meant diverging sharply from the quiet expectations of those who raised you? Imagine a life built on stability, tradition, and unspoken sacrifices, a foundation meticulously laid by parents who navigated new worlds to offer their child everything they wished they'd had. Now, picture that child standing at the precipice of adulthood, armed with youthful cynicism and the exhilarating belief that everything her parents hold dear is simply outdated. This isn't just a story about a missed anniversary dinner. It's a deep dive into the silent chasm that can grow between generations. A chasm often filled with unsaid words, forgotten gestures, and the painful sting of indifference. Tonight, the familiar yellow semi-detached house on a quiet suburban street, usually a haven of routine and respect, became the unexpected battleground for a clash of wills. It's where a daughter's casual disdain for tradition collided with her parents' steadfast love, pushing their unspoken boundaries to the brink. What happens when the comforting rituals of family life are seen as irrelevant constraints? What raw, uncomfortable truths emerge when the illusion of distance shatters, revealing the depth of a disconnect that no amount of indie rock or Brixton nights can truly soothe? Prepare yourself for a journey into the heart of a family, where a simple anniversary dinner becomes the crucible for a powerful, unforgettable lesson about love, respect, and the enduring power of human connection. This isn't just a tale of consequences. It's an invitation to reflect on the lines we draw, the bonds we test, and the quiet moments that truly define who we are. She walked briskly down the quiet suburban street, past neatly trimmed hedges and parked Volvos, toward a pale yellow semi-detached house with bay windows and a potted olive tree by the front door. This was home, though lately it felt more like a place she passed through than truly lived in. Inside, the house carried the quiet dignity of a British middle-class family. Framed photos of holidays in Cornwall and Diwali celebrations lined the hallway. The living room held a well-worn sofa, a bookshelf stacked with novels and cookbooks, and a framed certificate from King's College London hanging on the wall. Her parents, both professionals, both children of immigrants, had built a life of stability, respect, and quiet tradition. Their daughter, now 20, had grown up surrounded by it all, yet lately seemed determined to reject it. She was unmistakably modern London, olive skin, dark eyes lined with subtle kohl, silver hoops glinting in her ears. Her wardrobe consisted of BAM hoodies, ripped black jeans, and chunty trainer's clothes that screamed, "I don't care," even when she did. Her room upstairs was a chaotic mix of university textbooks, fairy lights, vintage band posters, and half-empty coffee mugs. She spent her days attending lectures on sociology, her nights at pubs in Brixton with friends who laughed loudly about toxic family dynamics and outdated expectations. Her parents, meanwhile, moved through life with quiet grace. Her mother, late 40s, with streaks of gray she refused to dye, wore silk blouses to work and soft-knit cardigans at home, always with pearl studs and a gold bangle from her own mother. Her father favored corduroy trousers, neatly pressed shirts, and reading glasses that slid down his nose when he read The Guardian over breakfast. They weren't strict, but they believed in respect for elders, for milestones, for the unspoken bonds that held a family together. And today was their 25th wedding anniversary. They hadn't made a fuss. No fancy restaurants, no overseas trips, just a home-cooked roast dinner, a bottle of red wine saved for special occasions, and a slideshow of old photos playing softly on the TV. It was their way understated, meaningful, British to the core. But their daughter had forgotten entirely. She arrived home at 7:45 p.m., 15 minutes after dinner was meant to start, still in the same outfit she'd worn to campus, a faded Arctic Monkeys hoodie, black leggings, and scuffed white trainers. Her hair was damp from the earlier rain, her cheeks flushed from the walk. She smelled faintly of beer and cigarette smoke. "Happy anniversary," she mumbled, dropping her bag in the hallway, not meeting her mother's eyes. Her mother stood in the kitchen doorway, wearing a deep green wrap dress and small gold earrings. "You forgot, didn't you?" her mother asked, her voice calm but layered with the subtle disappointment that cut sharper than any accusation. The daughter shrugged, a gesture of casual dismissal she'd perfected. "I've had a lot on, but I'm here now, aren't I?" she retorted, a hint of defiance in her tone. Dinner was already laid out: roast chicken, Yorkshire puddings, honey glazed carrots, and a small chocolate cake with 25 years written in delicate script. Candles flickered on the table, casting a warm, intimate glow. Soft jazz played from the speaker, a gentle counterpoint to the growing tension. She sat down, pulled out her phone, and began scrolling, her thumb a blur against the screen, creating a barrier between herself and the carefully constructed warmth of the evening. "Could you put that away, please?" her father asked gently, his voice a soft invitation rather than a command. "Just checking a message," she replied, not looking up, her attention firmly anchored to the digital world in her hands. Minutes passed in strange, heavy silence. The clinking of cutlery, the hushed notes of jazz, the flickering candlelight, all seemed amplified by the unspoken tension. Then, as her mother reached to pour wine, the daughter shifted in her chair, her elbow knocking over the glass. Deep red wine splashed across the crisp white tablecloth and onto the delicate chocolate cake, a crimson stain spreading like an unwelcome bloom. "Oh, for God's sake," her mother exclaimed, a sharp intake of breath, grabbing a tea towel instinctively. "It's just cake," the daughter snapped, rolling her eyes, her voice laced with impatience. "You're acting like I burned the house down." Her father set his fork down slowly, deliberately, the sound a small echo in the quiet room. "That cake took your mother 3 hours to make," he stated, his voice even yet carrying an undeniable weight. "Well, maybe she shouldn't have bothered," the daughter shot back, her voice sharper now, edged with a dismissive disdain. "It's not like anniversaries matter anymore. You're acting like it's the Queen's Jubilee or something." Her mother went very still, her movements freezing. The room seemed to shrink, the air growing thick with unspoken words. "You think this is about cake?" she asked, her voice low, almost a whisper, yet resonating with a power that commanded attention. "This is about you forgetting us, dismissing us, treating everything we've built with love, with sacrifice, as if it's meaningless." The daughter stood abruptly, pushing her chair back with a harsh scrape against the floor. "Whatever. I'm not in the mood for a lecture," she declared, turning to leave, her back a wall of dismissive defiance. But her mother's voice stopped her cold, a clear, unwavering force. "You will not walk away from this table with that attitude." The daughter turned, incredulous, a mixture of anger and disbelief flashing in her eyes. "What are you going to do? Ground me?" "I'm 20. Her mother stepped forward, calm but unyielding, her presence filling the space with a quiet authority. "Age doesn't erase disrespect. And you've crossed the line." She led her daughter into the hallway, away from the ruined dinner, away from her father's silent, burdened disappointment. There, under the soft glow of the overhead light, her mother's voice was firm, resolute, hands on the wall. The daughter froze. A gasp caught in her throat. "You can't be serious," she whispered, her defiance faltering for the first time. "I am," her mother stated, her voice steady, though tinged with a deep sorrow. "You will learn that actions have consequences, even now." Tears of anger pricked the daughter's eyes, hot and sharp, but something in her mother's tone steady. Sorrowful, resolute made her obey. She turned and placed her palms flat against the floral wallpaper, the textured pattern pressing into her skin. Her mother pulled down her leggings just enough, leaving her hoodie and cotton underwear in place, and delivered the first firm spank with an open palm. The daughter gasped, a sharp, involuntary sound. It wasn't unbearable, but it was shocking. A jolt from a past she thought she'd outgrown, a stark reminder of an authority she believed she'd transcended. Each swat was measured, deliberate, not cruel, but unyielding. 6, 7, 8. Do you understand why this is happening? Her mother asked, her voice calm between strokes, cutting through the daughter's rising shame. Because I ruined dinner, the daughter choked out, tears now streaming freely down her flushed cheeks, mixing with the lingering anger. No, her mother said, delivering another firm smack, her voice carrying the weight of a deeper truth. Because you chose to treat your family with contempt, because you forgot what love looks like when it's quiet, when it's patient, when it's not posted online for likes. The daughter's breath hitched, a ragged sound. The sting was real, a burning discomfort, but worse was the shame, the crushing realization that she'd hurt them, not with the spilled wine, but with her profound, casual indifference, her careless disregard for their feelings, their history, their love. At the 12th spank, her mother stopped. The hallway was silent except for the daughter's shaky, ragged breathing, the only sound in the charged air. Gently, her mother pulled the leggings back up and turned her around. The daughter's face was wet with tears, her cheeks flushed, her defiance utterly gone, replaced by a raw vulnerability. Her mother cupped her face in her hands, holding her gaze. Look at me. The daughter did. Her mother's eyes were glistening but dry, strong, reflecting a deep well of emotion. This wasn't about punishment, she said softly, her voice now tender, yet still firm. It was about reminding you who you are. You are our daughter. You carry our name, our values, our love, even when you forget it. She wiped her daughter's tears with her thumb, a gesture of profound tenderness. We don't expect perfection, but we do expect respect. Not because we're your parents, but because we're human beings who love you. The daughter nodded, unable to speak, her throat tight with a mixture of remorse and a burgeoning understanding. All her sarcasm, all her performative rebellion, had evaporated in the face of genuine sorrow, of unconditional love that dared to be firm. The sting in her skin was fading, replaced by an ache in her heart. I'm sorry, she whispered, the words small, fragile, yet utterly sincere. Her mother pulled her into a hug, tight, warm, forgiving. A quiet embrace that spoke volumes, mending the fractured air between them. I know, her mother murmured, her voice soft against her daughter's hair. Later that night, the daughter sat on her bed in the dark, knees drawn to her chest, a silent vigil. Rain had started again, tapping gently against the window, a rhythmic, soothing sound. She stared at the photo on her desk, her parents on their wedding day, standing outside a registry office in Croydon, her mother in a simple white dress, her father grinning in a borrowed suit. They looked so young, so hopeful, so full of quiet, unwavering love. A love she had so carelessly dismissed. Quietly, she took a sheet of notebook paper and wrote, her hand trembling slightly with a mix of exhaustion and resolve. I'm sorry I forgot what matters. I'm sorry I made you feel small on a day that should have been big. I'll do better. Always your daughter. She folded it carefully, a small, tangible promise, and slipped it under her parents' bedroom door, a silent offering of amends. The next morning, she woke to the smell of toast and Earl Grey, sense of normalcy, of a quiet, enduring love. Downstairs, 2 mugs sat on the kitchen table, one with extra sugar, just how she liked it. Her mother stood at the sink, her back turned, washing dishes in a soft gray cardigan, her hair tied back in a loose bun, the picture of quiet domesticity. "Sleep well?" Her mother asked without turning, her voice calm, devoid of any lingering accusation. The daughter wrapped her hands around the warm mug. Feeling the comforting heat? "Yeah," she said softly, her voice still a little hoarse from the tears of the night before. "Thanks, Mom." Her mother finally turned, offering a small, tired smile, a gentle affirmation of understanding and forgiveness. No grand speeches, no dramatic reconciliation, just tea, quiet understanding, and the slow, deliberate mending of something precious. Like so many British mornings after a storm outside, the sun broke through the clouds over South London, glinting off wet pavements and bus windows as life carried on, imperfect, tender, and deeply human. What's your initial reaction to the mother's choice of discipline in this story? Do you think it was justified, or could she have handled it differently? Have you ever had a moment where you realized you'd taken your family or their efforts for granted? How did that realization impact you? Do you think there's a line that, when crossed, justifies a different kind of parental response, even for adult children living at home? Where do you draw that line? The daughter found herself in an unexpected situation. If you were her friend, what advice would you give her after that night? What unspoken expectations or traditions exist in your family, and how do you navigate them as you grow older?